Hi guys, my name is Heidi from Wright Social and I am with Dimitri, otherwise known as Dim. And Dim has spent over $10 million both on clients and his own brands that he looks after in Facebook ads. So he knows his game. And I have a few questions for you, Dim, if you're happy to spend some time answering those.
Absolutely, I'd love to.
It's not every day you get to tap the brain of someone who's been there and done that in the Facebook ads world.
That's it.
So a lot of my clients are in agriculture.
Okay,
so they're looking to get in front of farmers and warm them up over time to purchase their products.
Right.
And that's mostly done over lead generation. So sometimes there's a few hesitations from clients where they're hesitant to spend money on Facebook. What have you seen as some of the bigger, fears when you're working with clients spending that sort of money that you're spending? What are some of the hesitations that you...
Well, when it comes to online marketing and spending, a lot of people are scared because they're uncertain about the result. But the really nice thing about Facebook is it's direct response marketing. So with a lot of the strategies and tactics that you use, you can start with a really small budget and then dial in your campaigns, actually see a result happening, and then begin to scale up the budget so that you know and can predict the results that you're going to get once you're spending a little more, and that's going to make it a lot easier and a lot less stressful when you're dealing with these things. So.
I find too, clients, they want to know the reporting stats really early, but it's always that setting the expectation of we've got to test, and to test we need the data. So how are you, reporting, and what are the common questions that you get asked from the bigger brands when it comes to what data they need to know that you're doing a good job for them?
Yeah, right. So with the bigger brands, it's a bit interesting because it gets a bit more in depth. But at the end of the day, the only reporting metric that matters is your return on ad spend, which effectively means or return on investment. So everyone knows what that is, right? It's the number of dollars or the amount of money you get back for the investment that you put out. And we, of course, want to make sure that that's positive. With something like farming or a higher ticket service or offering, it gets a bit interesting because you may or may not actually generate the result right away, right? So you got to outlay the money, bring in an audience, and then nurture that audience with email marketing and an ongoing relationship or ongoing relationship building, so that you can then, when you do go to make your offer, they'll trust you a lot more and they'll know you, but so that you're also top of mind when the time comes for them to actually go down that route and when the need arises. Right? Yeah.
What are the successful pillars to a Facebook ad campaign from your perspective?
Right. So I think it's mostly about having a really, really great offer, first and foremost. Secondly, having good ad creatives, so what the user actually sees when they're scrolling through Facebook. And then thirdly, obviously the advertising, which is the distribution the distribution of that offer and the creatives, right? So with the offer, of course, we want something that's going to hook people in and effectively be unrefusable, right? That's the whole target, to make it such a no-brainer for them with where they're at in their business, by tailoring it to and understanding your ideal customer. And then secondly, with the creatives, of course, again, the idea is to hook them in and to pre-frame them before they end up on your offer page so that they're more likely to convert on the offer.
And that was a key part of your talk, in that 2019 was all about the problem, solution, sell.
Yep.
What's the problem, answer the questions, and really position you as the expert and authority. You talked about 2020 being about the post-purchase experience, whereby you're introducing the product or the solution like they've already got it in their hand. So immersing them into that satisfaction or satisfactory position when they haven't even got it in their hand. So tell me, why is that? Why do you think that's where it's going in 2020 when it comes to our creative approach with Facebook advertising? Yeah,
so this idea of having the pre-purchase experience and getting the users to really experience and understand and feel what it's like to purchase the product before they've even purchased it, it's going to be super important because Facebook is becoming more and more competitive. And there are 2 billion active users, which is most of the developed world. So they can't just keep bringing on more users so that they can serve more ads and make more money, right? So now what they need to do is they need to have people spend more time on the platform, right? And they do that by giving a better on-platform experience. So when you do that with your advertising, you're kind of feeding into Facebook's vision and their goals of doing this, and Facebook's going to reward you for that with cheaper advertising costs, higher engagement, and then of course cheaper cost per leads, which is the target at the end of the day.
Love it.
Excellent.
One simple question that I get asked a lot: do page likes matter?
No. It's so that's the short answer. It is a really long-winded, depending on where you're advertising and stuff like that. If you're advertising for e-commerce, having some page engagement and stuff like that is really good, because it makes your advertising a little cheaper. Because again, it's a good signal to Facebook.
Yes.
But if you're purely going for leads and you're not spending much, I wouldn't focus on page likes. I would focus on generating those leads, because remember, the only metric that matters at the end of the day is your ROI.
That's exactly right. I think for businesses starting out, having that engagement on the page is important, because as Dimmy said, you've got the payoff on the back end when it comes to Facebook advertising, because they're really cracking down on protecting that user experience. They don't want to see scammers just going up with a call to action, directing them to a website and the sale's done. So they like to know that you're nurturing your customer and serving content that's authentic and engaging. So certainly posting to the page is something that we need to be doing on a regular basis, but not focusing so much on growing your page likes, because at the end of the day, that gets you a quality seed audience to start, but once you're past that, there's other strategies that you can build in, like uploading your email list and creating lookalikes, retargeting your website visitors, etc. So, great.
The organic reach on Facebook isn't too good anymore, so Facebook in and of itself is not a good place to build an audience on. But using Facebook to build an audience in other places by advertising on Facebook is a really, really great way of doing it, like your email list or a Facebook group or something like that, but not necessarily the page itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think people need, when choosing an agency, do you feel having a marketing background is essential to them doing a good job for you? Let me reframe that. How important is it for someone looking after your Facebook ad campaigns to have an understanding for marketing and sales?
Well, it depends, right? So if it's service-based, like in the agricultural industry, right, it's really important to have a deep understanding of sales, because if the agency is generating you lots and lots of leads and you're not closing those leads, then of course it's not going to work out, right? A lot of people or a lot of businesses, they don't necessarily understand that Facebook is interruption marketing, which means if we're trying to directly acquire a lead, the user's going to be interrupted and they're going to opt in, and they're not necessarily out there looking for you. So when they get that phone call, it's a little bit different to closing a lead that comes in from Google, right? These guys aren't as warm, so the sales guys need to be aware of that, and they need to do a good job actually closing them in that different sort of situation.
Yeah, excellent. Look, thank you so much, Dimmy.
No
I know
worries.
your time is very valuable and you've got a lot on, and you're running your first agency session here tomorrow too.
Yeah, that'll be
It's
fun.
going to be amazing. How can people find out more about you?
You can go to dimniko.com, and then from there, all my social handles are all there. So that's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks so much again.
Thanks. Cheers.